Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, reality check viewers, Mr. Bill Mosely. This gentleman has an incredible filmography, and as you can see here, you've been in almost every important horror film of the past few years. And how do you do it? Is it something that you strive for, or do people just call you and say, we want you to be in the movie?
You know, I think it's actually a case of failing upward. I don't know. You know, I was an English major in college. I mean, I started out in advertising as a copywriter in Boston. Somehow I'm here now at Kirk von Hammett's Festevil of Fear, and I've got all these pictures because I've done all these movies, and I really have no idea how it happened.
So basically by accident, you fell into this gig.
I think I kind of did. I mean, this was not, you know, I mean, if I was a kid and I knew that this was a career that was available, I would have definitely checked the box.
Right.
But as a kid growing up in Illinois, you know, my parents and my family really is like railroad people. So there wasn't really a lot of encouragement to, hey, you know, go be in the Hollywood, go to be in a movie, be a monster. None of that really was part of the family plan, I don't think. So, you know, it's through a series of happy accidents, I ended up getting into Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 back in 1986.
Yes, and we have the stand-up at home, which you signed.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Yes, which is great. We proudly, you know, I look at that sometimes and
nice.
And think,
Bubba.
you know, how cool that is. Yeah,
It's all in the meat.
it's all in the meat.
Town loves prime meat.
So how did that come about?
Well, I made a short film called, because I was so scared of the original Chainsaw, I made a short film called The Texas Chainsaw Manicure.
A parody, I love it.
So I shot back in 1984, and I had a cameo in it as the Hitchhiker from the original Chainsaw. And you know, my wife gets her hair done, and then she gets a manicure from Leatherface with his saw. And she comes out, she survives, and she comes out, and I tell her that her hair looks great, and I say, we should celebrate with some head cheese. And so I went out and actually bought a clump of head cheese and held that up and licked it in one take, which was a bad idea.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Anyway, a friend of mine who was working in Hollywood at the time, I shot the movie in New York City.
Did you?
Yeah, and but I had a friend in Hollywood, and he happened to be a screenwriter right across the hall at the time from Tobe Hooper, who was, I think, working on Poltergeist or something. And he I gave him a copy of the tape, the VHS, and he walked it in, and Tobe watched it and loved my cameo as the Hitchhiker. And so I called up Tobe. You know, my friend also gave me his phone number, and Tobe said, yeah, I loved it. And he asked me who played the Hitchhiker. I said, that was me. And he said, well, if I ever do a sequel, I'll keep you in mind.
Nice.
And he did. 2 years later, I got a call out of the blue from the screenwriter Kit Carson.
Kit Carson.
And Kit Carson called up, and my response was, who is this really? Because
You didn't buy it, right?
I didn't buy it. But sure enough, it was the real Kit Carson. He sent me a copy of Chainsaw 2, the script in the mail. I loved it. He told me to, you know, look at the part of Chop Top, and I did. And, you know, I figured maybe they'd bring me out to L.A., which was, you know, that would be cool for free, just to audition. I never thought I would get the part or anything. And but then they said, you know, another call came from Canon Films, and they said, do you have an agent, or do you want to negotiate your own contract? I went, and I'd met an agent at a Christmas party a couple months earlier, so I called her up, and she was happy to negotiate a done deal. Right. So that's how I got the job.
You didn't have to work hard at all, man. It just
kind of audition. I did not, you know, for Otis, for Chop Top, Luigi Largo, and Repo, all my good parts I don't audition for. If I audition, I usually don't get the part. But if people just give me the job, then I'm great. So
well,
please, you know, remember that.
Yeah. Just give them the job, folks.
Give me the goddamn job. Yeah.
Well, you've been lucky enough to fail upward into many cool movies. Yep. Out of all the ones that you've done thus far, what was probably the most fun to work on, and the fun, you know, to get into the character and do all that stuff?
You know, I'd have to say the most fun was probably the Texas Chainsaw 2, way back in 1986, because that really told me for the first time that you could do this as a career. You could make decent money at it. There's a union, medical benefits, all those things I'd never even heard of. Mm-hmm. And you know, it was like, for me, it was like, you know, they talk about a kid running away to join the circus, and for me, the circus let me stay. So that's why I like to say that.
So,
Thank you, Toby Hooper.
Toby Hooper.
Toby and Kit, R.I.P. Yeah.
Oh, really? He's gone?
Yep. Yep.
So, what about in the here and now? What are you up to these days?
Now I'm just, I think I just got a job in an Australian movie called Boar, B-O-A-R, shooting in Queensland in August, and it's about like a giant pig, a big giant feral pig that runs around and kills people. So I'm really looking forward to that.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
I know it's going to be great. I've worked with the same director. His name is Christopher Sun, and I worked last year on a slasher movie he did called Charlie's Farm, which should be coming out soon.
Nice.
And I can't wait to get back to Australia. I love it there, and looking forward to working on Boar. Hope it isn't.
Hopefully, right?
I know.
You beat me to that one.
It better be good because it's leading with its chin with a name like that.
Definitely. Yeah, I know, right? So now let's talk about House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. What was it like working with Rob Zombie as a director? Because he's known as
great.
a rock guy.
Yeah, no, he was a very good director, and he apparently directed a lot of his own music videos. So he had his chops. Knew from lenses and knew how to do it.
And knew what he wanted from you.
Knew what he wanted, and he's very good. Maybe years of being a rock musician, he was very good at dealing differently with different people to get what he wanted from us, and
with the different personalities.
With different personalities, and so he was really good. I liked his writing. I liked his imagination. It was fun working with his wife, Sherry.
Yeah.
Of course. Sometimes you have to keep repeating, it's the director's wife, but...
she's hot.
Yeah, she was, so she was...
sassy, too. She looks like she has a lot of fun doing it.
She's sassy, yeah, and she had a lot of fun. And it was great working with Sid Haig.
Oh, God, yeah, he's cool.
Captain Spaulding.
He's such a great guy.
Yeah, so it ended up being like a really fun experience. Yeah. And it's also fun to, hang around with a rock star. So...
Not to mention, there's quite a collection in those films of well-known actors who do these kinds of things.
Right.
So it's like a group. You guys are like a fraternity or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Ken Forey and Leslie Easterbrook, Tyler Main. And actually, it's sadly, in about the last 10 days, we've lost 2 cast members from Devil's Rejects. One was Tom Tolles, who played the cop, the sheriff, who kind of goes nose to nose with Sid Haig in House of a Thousand Corpses, and then plays the brother of Sheriff Waddell in a flashback in Devil's Rejects. Right. And Tommy and I worked on the remake of Night of the Living Dead, a movie called Homesick. We were in Rob Zombie's fake trailer for Grindhouse called Werewolf Women of the SS.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
So I've worked a lot with Tommy, and he passed away just about a little more than a week ago.
Oh, that's sad.
And a couple days ago, Jeffrey Lewis, who was...
Oh, Jeffrey Lewis, yes. We interviewed him
Banjo and Sullivan, yeah.
Yes. Great guy.
Yeah.
And his daughter, Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis, right.
Talent of her own. Yeah. So
I had worked with Jeffrey actually about, more than 20 years ago. We did a Clint Eastwood movie called Pink Cadillac.
Yes, I remember that one.
Yes, and I end up beating him up in Pink Cadillac.
Yeah.
And then years later, I come to, we're in Devil's Rejects, and I get to beat him up again. So.
Poor Jeffrey Lewis.
Yeah, right. He
gets beat up by this guy.
And pistol rape his wife, so, what can you do?
Hate when that happens.
Yeah, I know. That's tough.
Well, now, of all your films, what would you say is maybe a movie that didn't quite click or is overlooked, but you really loved?
There's a couple of them. And clicking, when a movie clicks, there's so many variables that can kind of kick it out of contention. Starting with the editing, with the soundtrack, of course, with distribution. There's just so many things. The ad campaign, the timing of opening it against some other pot movie.
That's true too.
But I would have to say that the two kind of sleepers for me would be a movie called Rogue River, and then a movie called Dead Air.
Dead Air?
Yeah.
Now, what's that one about?
Dead Air was, I play a disc jockey, kind of a shock jock, the night of a zombie outbreak. And that is actually a lot of fun. And I would also, there's a Civil War zombie movie I did called Exit Humanity that's pretty cool.
Civil War zombie.
Yeah. So if you get Civil War, so you got Exit Humanity, Dead Air, and Rogue River.
Rogue River.
Yeah, I would check those out.
All right, very good, very good. Now, is there a movie that maybe you've been in, maybe a straight movie that's not horror or related?
Pink Cadillac, White Fang, Walt Disney movie with Ethan Hawke and Klaus Maria Brandauer. Yeah.
And do people ever come up to you and say, you were in that movie? As opposed to...
Very seldom, especially at horror conventions. I don't think people are really interested in White Fang, but, well, I mean, they are if it's in Dracula's mouth.
Sure.
But, yeah, I mean, I do all kinds of different things. That's one of the things that I love about being in the horror genre is it gives me a chance to play a lot of different kinds of parts. I mean, I look down there at, the remake of Night of the Living Dead, and I play Johnny, just a kind of an annoying brother. So that wasn't exactly, a monster. And, I play different kinds of parts. Be happy to do it. And
what's your favorite role that you've ever done?
It's always a toss-up between Chop Top and Otis. But I would always go back to Chop Top.
That was the first one.
Chop Top was really the father of Otis. If Rob Zombie hadn't fallen in love with Chop Top years earlier, he probably wouldn't have hired me as Otis for House of a Thousand Corpses. So.
Good point. Good point.
I always give.
Chop Top.
Chop Top is due.
Chop Top props.
Yeah, exactly.
Right on.
All right.
Bill Mosely, man. Genuine pleasure to see you again, sir.
Thanks, man.
And keep up the great work, man. You're one of the true icons of the horror genre, and you've carried the whole genre forward, I think, by the many parts that you played. So
thanks. Well, I love doing it. I always work hard. I show up on time. And
those are keys, right?
I know my lines. Yeah. And, I think what keeps me going is I'm happy in my work.
It's hard not to be. You get to do so much cool stuff.
Exactly.
All right, on. Well, you take care of
Thank you very
yourself.
much. All right, you too.
Cool. Thanks. All right, let's get a photograph.
Yeah.